My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Say it again. How do you like it, Psycho? License 9 Victor Frank Jerry 824. This is the demon. This is the state actor. These are the fools that are going to federal prison. That's the fake son. The signature of the demons that are hostile, monitoring your vagina, stalking you, and then hostile when they're caught. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in what is an unprecedented fixation on me. This is all light activity. They're monitoring. That's the pattern of conduct. She's going to federal prison. She's got engineer light on her face. This is a demon-possessed person, and this is a closeted lesbian who's hostile while she's being documented. This is Satan operating over a person. You see this focus on me? This is hostility because of the truth that I'm speaking about, what she is doing, and she is stalking me and focusing on me. That's all state action, 9VFJ824. This is why the entity is going to be federally prosecuted and they're going to prison. Not only the people of the state, see the city of Ontario stalking. This is state action. City of Ontario going out of its way to stalk. This is not a sunrise. This is the environment where stalkers are acting in the shoes of the state and are engaging in what is threatening you while you're documenting the state that is stalking you. So the state defaming you, addable activity as well. With regard to monitors of murder, using the resources of the municipality. This is the removal of Paul Leon. Understand the significance of everything that I'm documenting. The entity is engaging in this while you are stalking an American citizen who is going to document, and then you're talking about the mental illness necessarily. You are a hostile, documented stalker who is upset about what you are surveilling, the evidence about you stalking. This is not the sunrise. This is what is giving context behind everything that you don't even have a warrant or probable cause to be in my presence to communicate. This is the entity that's speaking as the state that kidnaps and defames, the state that commits murder, the entity that's engaging in psychotic conduct, smelling like urine, okay, while you are offending my senses while stalking me and then harassing me because I'm documenting you stalking me. And if you were not paying attention, you would not even notice that I'm merely in custody of my phone while you're assuming that it's about you, because you're not assuming. They're monitoring demons. Their mental illness is no longer closeted, and this is what you, the world who are watching, need to be advised of. I'm going to enforce my rights based on what the government has done, and it has blown up in the government's face. The government is going to be federally prosecuted, and they are not, and they cannot protect the people of the state. They have shown themselves to be terrorists. Terrorists go to prison. Terrorists are being deported when they're not natural-born citizens. Terrorists are unfit to have any custody of minor children and access to them. Okay, the entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct, and that demon is monitoring while doing so. That was psychopathic pacing and engineer light under the fake sun that you know is setting in alignment to me. That was a stalker. And that same stalker is inside of the OVITT Family Community Library under the fake sun. Hours from now, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 9 hours from now. This is P.O.C. I'm going to go ahead and get video of this. This is the entity's tactic to engage in more gang stalking, just like I showed you yesterday. After I captured the video of the entity stalking by plane, I upload it, and then they engage in more and more stalking by plane. This is the entity's only tactic. It's very ridiculously absurd and suicidal with regard to prosecution, because I'm going to play the evidence which is proving that the third party is speaking as a state and who is indeed stalking. And this is the entity's tactic, which is why the people of the state are harassing, engaging what is assault with a deadly weapon, like using vehicles and using sharp objects, knives, while they're stalking me in the dark on behalf of the government, that's stalking me at the grocery store. And then as I document the terrorists, they want to engage in what is violence. Like you saw a psychopath pacing in engineer light, just like the demons of the Ontario International Airport. Southwest Airlines isn't headed toward a destination. Southwest Airlines is stalking. And you know that based on the scientific impossibility that this will be the sun, and then 1 mile east from here at the OVITT Family Community Library, shining through the entrance doors of that venue, would the sun still be in this manner, shining on my face, causing light to reach into the depths of that library to touch me, to touch my person while I'm sitting at computer station number 1, computer station number 5. This is the entity that's engaging in that conduct, and I want to go ahead and include this because that third party you're going to prison when you engage in that. This is what the entity does. They will take your life. They will shoot you. They will violate you. You'll disappear. They'll engage in what is battering you, and then the entity will engage in what is reporting it on the news as though nothing happened, or they don't know what happened. It's an unlawful threat, and because I lived through it to report it doesn't mean you're getting less of the penalty. You're going to prison. And this is the government stalking me while I am publishing evidence that the government is keeping under surveillance. So you're a psychopath, in other words. That is, in fact, stalking. You know that I'm documenting you stalking me, and then you're engaging in what is lashing out, crashing out. This is what I'm putting on X right now. The entity that never considered that you would fail in a sacrifice. And it's being publicly exposed, and I'm going to prosecute. I'm going to prosecute the government in court. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:12 a.m. Pattern of conduct. 8LHC832, stalking, just like the third party that loses her cool when she can't abide by your own game that you lost at. That's the mental illness. That's a threat to the public. It's psychopathic. P.O.C. Are you trying to get in?
Oh, yeah.
It's 9278 pound.
927.
9,
Ajá.
7, 2, 9, I believe. 927. No, 9728, 9278 pound.
Oh, es 9.
Yeah, I'm using this one though.
97,
Yeah, 97,
2,
28.
28.
927. No, I forgot the code. Hold on. 9278, yeah. 92.
Oh,
78. 92, 78.
92, 78.
That's 9278, right? Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. This is activity creation. Was outside monitoring with the airport and comes to the bathroom. This is the ongoing obsession with the stalker that wants to be next to me, wants to be near me while I'm indisposed, while my vagina is exposed, is a hostile demon while they're monitoring my evidence. And this is the entity that's stalking my planes. This is how that entity that uses that plane stalking me is next to me in the bathroom. Those are the demons that are stalking. This is how the pilots that are obsessed with my vagina are maintaining presence while they are stalking me right now. This is the entity and its Stater brothers who I'm going to prosecute. Don Quinones is monitoring my vagina right now. Okay? This is P.O.C. It's 8:08 a.m. Surveillance in bathrooms is an unprecedented basis regarding what is the criminal conspiracy to commit murder as an entity. It's the entity that's entirely illegitimate means of surveillance. It's not just criminal. That doesn't even make any sense while you're engaging in surveillance at that level, at that degree. For what? There's no device inside of my genitalia, inside of my vessel. These are demons that are obsessively stalking, which you can clearly see under the fake sun with planes and helicopters. Okay, even while the people of the state stalk with impossible light activity, you're witnessing the personification of their obsession with me. And these are mentally ill people who are obsessed. Okay, going into the bathroom, that's the entity that's going to be committed. They necessarily need to be placed in facilities with regard to severe mental instability that has been literally nurtured by the gang stalking government. It's been nurtured, so it's matured, it's prolonged in its existence. All right, so the only way to neutralize that threat, they have to be put away in facilities where they need the assistance and the attention, and exposure is crucial to that, which is what I'm doing. It's 8:10 a.m. This is bathroom monitoring. Okay, it is currently 8:17 a.m. So the video you just listened to is the direct evidence regarding what I'm exposing, what I'm documenting, what is the ongoing stalking conduct inside of a building, which is the same government that wants to be, if they could force themselves on me, if they could force themselves upon my person, inside of my person, to examine the interior of my body. I'm not exaggerating. That's exactly what the demon possessed would do. The closer that they can get to that, at this juncture, that is, because the entities engage in that very sort of conduct in facilities where they're kidnapping American citizens, raping them, drugging them, keeping them as patients when they're actually kidnapped, and engaging what is assaulting them, violating their person, violating their rights, based on obsession that you know nothing about because of this gang stalking system where American citizens are kidnapped and murdered every day by the government, who is obsessing over genitalia that they are keeping under surveillance in places like bathrooms and spending thousands of dollars hourly, like the Ontario International Airport, like the city of Ontario, the state of California is using jets and planes and helicopters to keep me under surveillance at the grocery store, where everybody at that grocery store, including David Quinones, and everybody that he schedules at work, everyone that works at that venue, but everybody that's at work right now is engaging in that pattern of conduct as I'm documenting it. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and seconds later, just right now, at what is 8:17 a.m. after I capture that video you just listened to. Southwest Airlines is repeating that psychopathic pacing. All the entity is doing is worship. This is idolatry. This is demonic, while demons are stalking me. They are not strangers. They're not separate. In other words, they're not coming all their from their separate ways going toward their destinations. That's not the focus though. They're maintaining presence. I am the focus. And I've shown that through the environment. And what they are actually doing is, as one connected entity, ceaselessly crossing path. That is stalking. Okay, that's the term of art. They are stalking. And as they are ceaselessly stalking as one entity, that is collectively maintaining what is ongoing surveillance. They are doing so as an entity and in the shoes of the state. And they have literally abandoned any sort of identity or protection and the benefits under the Constitution while the people of the state are engaging in this. And it is understanding what is demonic activity. And this is where you have white men, white women, Asian men and women, Latino men and women of all cultures and races. Okay, it doesn't matter what their language is. They're all of that same condition, and they are all sharing in that same behavioral pattern. The demon-possessed person does not have a race, and they are all sharing an equal obsession with me and equal criminal conduct. Okay, under the illusion with regard to ignorance, you would associate a 5'2" Asian man would not be stalking me. What do we have in common? Where do we never met? We never talked to each other. We don't even speak the same language, but he's stalking me and he's monitoring me, and he is obsessed with me. He's demon possessed. His obsession, is directly attributed. It is because of his demon possession. That's where his personality, that's where his behavior is coming from, because he is a demon. And that's what you need to understand. And that's what the government is doing. Because the government is full of demons who are stalking me in planes and helicopters, those demons are going to prison. It's not a defense in court. It's context with regard to understanding what it is that the entity is doing to American citizens who do not know what they're subject to, and they have no intelligent way to articulate it in a way that you are not going to be freaked out and assume at the outset that they're making it up and they're freaking out and they're having a crash out and they're hallucinating and make it, because that's not what's happening. This is not intended for someone to be able to explain in the manner that I have. This is the Lord God himself showing mercy. That's why I've been able to do this. It is the grace of God. This is what's happening to people who are overwhelmed by it, overcome, succumbing to it, because it's designed to cause you to question your own sanity. That's Satan. That's the devil. He's a liar. And he's using the planes of the Ontario International Airport. Those demons who have been deceived into their own destruction, the airport's being shut down and they're going to prison. And as a matter of precedent, those engaging in such conduct, terrorists like the Ontario International Airport are, they will be subject to federal prison. In the same way, if you blow up buildings and engage in what is terrorism, killing mass amounts of people, if you go around shooting people and going on shooting massacres, engaging in terrorism, you're going to prison. This is going to establish precedent. You engage in stalking American citizens, which is not a conspiracy theory, it's a fact. You're going to federal prison. And the entity, and you're not just going to federal prison, just like any terrorist act. Your mindset is immediately put at the forefront. There is clearly something wrong with you, and what you need to know, those of you who are listening, you need to understand that this is not about my opinion. This is shared beyond what anyone can. You cannot contend with the evidence, which is showing a people, regardless of where they're coming from, what they speak, what their economic status is, they are sharing in a pattern of conduct. It is uniform, regardless of what they look like, okay, and what the relationship with me is as well. That is because of what is the condition that I have pointed out to you, and I've also pointed out that condition evidenced by their behavior, which is occurring in an environment that is also supernatural. This is demonic activity, and these are the demon possessed. They are referred to in scripture as the Nephilim. Their condition is one that is speaking to the unlawful threat as it's the government. So this is nothing other than the criminalization of what the Nephilim have committed. Spiritual warfare. And this is the physical judgment that the demon possessed are going to be subject to, that they are subject to, and it is establishing precedent. The Nephilim have no business in law enforcement. They have no business in the medical field. They have no business in industries where they have access to the vulnerable, but also to the population at large. So that's flying planes, being in law enforcement, being in the medical field, driving public transportation, working amongst children in schools. This is obvious, and I've pointed that out. I've shown you that. You're molesting me with impossible light while you're driving the school bus. You're stalking, and you're doing so while you are in custody of children who are sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. Never mind that they're born with curses on them. Never mind that those that are giving birth to them have cursed wombs. So they are born with these spirits on them. But it is unhelpful. And it is also counterintuitive for us to have this knowledge, because this is what you have now, and for them to remain in the households, remain around those who have decided. They've decided on hell. They've decided on darkness. They live their lives as predators and as psychopaths who are preying upon and seeking to harm people that they don't even know. They don't have to know, because they're demons. They're spiritually attacking. They know who you are spiritually. And if you are one that is within their eyesight, literally, that's a risk to you. The minor children that are born to these terrorists with these spirits on them, that is not a basis to damn them and their future as well. Now, it's something to be informed about, be advised about, because you need to know, contrary to what is promoted, that you're born a good person. No, there are children that are born with spirits, and that's why you have 5- and 6-year-olds that are killing each other. It is of a condition that it does exist when they're minor children. Okay, but there is a necessity also to salvage that situation. When you're cognizant of it, you're not going to keep them around serial killers as their parents. Their parents are demons. Their parents are gang stalking psychopaths. They are closeted sex offenders, closet homosexuals. Everything about them and their identity and the way they live their lives is fake. And they are a threat when they are giving birth to these children. And then they are promoting and training them to engage in the same terrorism. And then you have the government that is breaking down the nuclear family and making sure that this is embedded into how they live their lives and what they do even as a unit. And then that's affecting greater society. So I just want to speak to that. This is what the entity is doing, and this is how you are aware of the spiritual realm is inevitable, it's unavoidable, and it is directly affecting your life, your safety. This is beyond your First Amendment right to freedom of religion. This is beyond that. This is about what is happening in these times, and your ignorance could very well cost you your life. And that is not to spread fear. That's the fact. This is what Satan is doing. And there are American citizens who are subject to torture, sexually motivated torture. As the entity's obsession with me and my vagina, stalking me in a bathroom, they kidnap people in facilities where sex offenders in the medical field that are gang stalking me. Guess what? They have jobs in those facilities. All right. And they're perverts. And they're sitting up obsessing with the target individual who was successfully kidnapped by the city police, by their family, by the city that was gang stalking them, stealing their identity, stealing their money, accomplishing kidnapping them. And now they're a vegetable and they're raped every day by the demons that are working in those medical facilities. They're raped every day and nobody's going to know about that. That's never going to be on the news. And this is starting with the Ontario International Airport stalking in planes. Literally, it is directly connected to that. That is the nexus. All right, it's 8:27 a.m. This is relevant to what the entity is doing, one after another, that psychopathic pacing. This is what the demon-possessed population is doing in traffic everywhere that I'm going, and it is underscored by that fake sun that's remaining over me. At OVITT Family Community Library, which is less than 1 mile from where I'm at now in the same city off of the same block. Okay, remember Holt Boulevard intersects with Euclid Avenue. That's where the OVITT Family Community Library is, off of C Street in Euclid, where the fake sun is then setting. This is where stalking is underway by the whole city. License plate 52637 Bob 2. All right, and these are predators. These are terrorists. It is a national security threat, and I have not been using any exaggeration whatsoever. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:27 a.m. on Saturday, February 21st, 2026. To confirm, this is indeed the entity that is stalking in the bathroom stalls. All right, so operating through the people of the state, just like I stated is the case. This is the entity that is obsessed with my genitalia, obsessed with the way that my mind works, obsessed with my body, obsessed with my image, obsessed with my creations, obsessed with my voice, obsessed with my digestive system, obsessed with my personality, the way that I speak and the way that I conduct myself, my aura, everything about me. They're demons. Okay, and this is the entity that's maintaining presence in the bathroom. That's a jet with a blue belly, It is reminiscent of Delta Airlines, but that's not a, that does not look like a Delta Airlines plane. They're all stalking, and their presence in that presence in the entity is shared by 9RKT473. That's not going to cause light dynamic on the wall while she opens her door. She's stalking, and she's obsessed with my vagina. So is 47874 Apple 4. So is 4 Apple Yolanda Berry 363, stalking inside of the grocery store, maintaining security detail about my vagina. 9 Larry Indiana Uncle 951, the same conduct, okay? Using the water machine as a basis of presence in the path the government is obsessively stalking. Doing so under the fake sun is how you know that. Driving in the all right, 1607, 189, I believe. Ontario Police is stalking, just like the rest of the people of the state, and this is supposed to be a threat. So let me show you the environment where the Ontario Police are engaging in that. And the standard barber, the white male, the entity sounds helicopter activity or amplified plane before he approaches and then asks me questions, again, like psychopaths that know the answer to those questions. For the gang stalking purposes of the pedestrians and the gang stalking purposes of the people who are driving an engineered light. And here's my shadow up here. That's another demon engaging in stalking, including while they're inside of, for example, Standard, Barber, and inside of Stater Brothers, while they're monitoring and the Ontario Police are stalking. That's a conspicuous means of surveillance, and it's an unlawful threat. While the entity has no authority under the law, while you're engaged in federal stalking, trying to kill me, and then you're trying to act like you're a legitimate police officer who is stalking in the path. This is my shadow appearing building. Are you kidding me? They're going to prison for this footage. That's the pattern of conduct. The entity is engaging in that while they're monitoring my evidence. And these demons that are documented are engaging in a lawful threat. These are the same ones that will be in federal prison. This is how gang stalking operates, including the demon in that vehicle. Okay, so I'm going to document Ontario International Airport's been having a field day, engaging in documented surveillance. And then the same city of Ontario is crossing path, engaging in surveillance, nothing stopping them. They're listening to what I'm stating. Their vagina mod under the fake sun. License 9GHV154, P.O.C. That's vehicle 1114. That's Mike Lorenz's pattern of conduct. He's going to federal prison. Okay, Jay Montez is stalking me on B Street. You have the entity kidnapping me on the 4th. You have the entity referring to laws that they don't have authority under while they're engaging in what is oppression, which is why you're not at work, while you're documenting them because they're stalking you in furtherance of murder. These are psychopaths who reek of urine, asking questions that they know the answer to with regard to desperate means of stalking. And you are a whole psychopath stalking me in places like bathrooms, because that's where the Ontario Police were, in the bathroom stall, stalking as an entity. This is the fake sun where that department is communicating a threat. Since you like to threaten so much, that's why they're going to prison. There will be no negotiating with them. There's no negotiating with terrorists, and that's what they are. It's gang violence. This is P.O.C. They are literally engaging. What I'm capturing is the phenomenon of the environment where you're looking at the demon-possessed that are not engaged in law enforcement. They're engaged in surveillance. And they're engaged in surveillance while they wear these uniforms. You're not casually driving by, you're stalking. You're also not engaged in what is the execution of the duties of officers. You're stalking. And they're stalking together while they engage in traffic stops, while they engage DUI checks, while they're engaging in what is reporting to the scene regarding an emergency. They're not investigating anything. This is surveillance. It's cops and robbers. They're going to prison. That's how the intricate means of stalking by those that are going to prison because of that level of malice. It is psychotic. And this is the Nephilim. This is P.O.C. Ontario Village Shopping Center communicating a threat that's going to be relevant to the federal RICO case that's already secure. So now you're engaging what is threatening me while you're monitoring my evidence. You're going to prison for that, and it's relevant to those damages. All of these raggedy little storefronts that are not going to survive a prosecution, they will not be able to afford the damages, and I'm going to prosecute. That's relevant to damages while the entity is monitoring that evidence, which is what the demon-possessed gang stalkers do. It's the same pattern of conduct. POC, it's currently 8:58 a.m. That's an employee gang stalking. She's crossing path and engineer light while she walks upstairs. She's monitoring me. And this is all done with knowledge of what I'm doing on my device. Okay, this is relevant to, you see my shadow that's enlarged? And they're going in opposite directions. Her shadow's coming toward me, mine's going toward her. They're stalking. And I'm gonna let you know about the sex offense, the group sex violence that's underway right now. And it's also shared by the gang stalkers in the male restroom. This is massive surveillance centered around a woman's genitalia. And the entity is engaging what is policing the bathrooms on behalf of the city of Ontario that is obsessively stalking, as I'm showing you outside of the building, by planes and helicopters. Okay, doing so on fire, police, ambulance vehicles. The entity is doing so, I just want to be clear, okay? Monitoring on my device is what is informing what the demons do as they do it. And so entering into the restroom, that's a gang of demons. Those are homosexual predators who are stalking a woman together and obsessed with her vagina. That's the reality of their mind state, their intent, and their criminal conduct, which is sexually violent, shared with those of the opposite gender. This is surveillance in the engineer light under the fake sun. And before these sex offenders enter the restroom, they're doing so pursuant to a pattern, psychopathic behavioral pattern. As I document sex offenders, the entity recommits that sexual violence. You're looking at the illustration of that by the stalking by planes, for example. As I document very damning evidence regarding what's under no circumstances going to happen with the airport, the entity will engage in what is more of that psychopathic pacing in the planes location, where no planes from the terminals of the Ontario International Airport would ever be in that sky space hovering, creating any sort of public nuisance like I'm documenting. These are the demon possessed that engage in vagina monitoring with that same behavioral pattern. They enter into the restroom. All right, 1607. They enter into the restroom. I'm going to continue this video. It cut off. They enter into the restroom regarding what is the evidence that I'm capturing on my phone right here. So the images that I'm capturing is subject to real-time monitoring. So the entity is not only stalking, as I've shown, proven through the fake sun, the entity is engaging in surveillance, as I've also shown, on the video, the internet, and on devices. And that is all in violation of federal stalking statute, Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. Pursuant to that surveillance, which is all state action, pursuant to then what is knowledge regarding what everyone is doing and the knowledge with which they do it, and then the criminal mindset behind that, which you're also prosecuting. I take these images, as you can see. I took this morning at 10:35 in the morning, and I stepped outside before I captured this video that you just viewed at 2:02 p.m. And I'm showing you how the sun has not left the entrance. And I'm identifying for you what your knowledge of the significance of sitting in front of the restroom. All right, because this is crossing a path, conduct in the engineer light, and operation of a communication device while sex offenders enter in and out of the restroom, both for the male and the females. Stalking in the path as I'm walking out of the entrance doors to get the images of the fake sun. This is tracking my steps. This is stalking. This is the same circumstance of the entity that is gang stalking me in the morning as it is in the afternoon. License 8 Mary Jerry Uncle 686 at 2:02 p.m. and this one at license 97833 Victor 3. The same circumstance regarding the fake sun. Okay, this is where the entity is engaging in what is monitoring on my device, and they're doing so pursuant to knowledge and going into the restroom to commit that sex offense. While they are looking at the evidence that's being documented, it is not the call of nature. These are sex offenders that are informed and incentivized, motivated by being documented as sex offenders. This is relevant to the engineer light and the fake sun, that as a matter of duration of time, you're talking about 10:35 in the morning to 2:02 p.m. while you are engaging in what is ongoing surveillance on the devices. This is also a bigger picture. The fake sun is in the same position that it was this morning, while I am 1 mile east of where I was located, where the fake sun was over me, and I'm stepping out of the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library in the same city, less than a mile east of the location where I was this morning, and the fake sun remains over me at that entrance. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that this is indeed the pattern of conduct, where the entity is maintaining at 6:46 a.m. Okay, and this is located at 646 West Holt Boulevard, and it is currently 2:18 p.m. and the entity is maintaining that specific environment regarding what is under no circumstances the natural environment. This is what I'm taking pictures of, and as I do, I walk downstairs going to the restroom where an entity is tracking my steps, maintaining surveillance outside of the restroom, and sharing in surveillance by going into the restroom. This is what this is serving, and these are predators that engage in that conduct, sex offenders that are engaging in that on behalf of the state, psychopaths that are keeping you under surveillance, and they are also engaging in what is predatory conduct, those of the same gender, and the substance of what they're engaging in is predatory. It is sexually motivated, and there are labels that apply to it. These are the demon-possessed, the Nephilim, who maintain an entirely superficial and disingenuous lifestyle and existence. These are homosexual predators. They're also stalkers. These are a bunch of, in other words, homosexual predators who are targeting in a bathroom that's psychotic and is also sexually perverted. And they're doing so while they are aware of the images that I took on my phone as I took them. And you have a gang of gargoyles, a gang of demons, a gang of lesbians who are predators stalking on behalf of the state, doing so while they maintain activity in anticipation that I go in. I don't. I stay outside and I capture what is the ongoing evidence regarding the entity that is subject to federal prison and being committed with regard to state surveillance, doing so on behalf of the government. They're in the engineer light, and they are also under what is the fake sun that is over the same entrance that it was at 10:35 in the morning. You're not doing anything ignorantly or coincidentally in that environment. You're doing it pursuant to what is a sexually motivated, predatory, and criminal purpose. And that's why I wanted to go ahead and finish this video. It cut off, so that's why I'm continuing it. So this is a screen recording regarding this video that I captured here, so I'm just continuing it to provide analysis. Okay, it is currently 2:19 p.m. This is evidence of bathroom monitoring. All right, and you are also aware the entity keeps the fake sun while I'm here. The entity keeps the fake sun where the entity is maintaining, this little convenient seating area is for surveillance outside of the bathroom. This is sexually violent. This is sick, actually. Now you're aware of what the entity is engaging in. This is sick conduct, and this is a forum facilitation of sexual violence, which is underway by the sex offender that is California. All right, everybody in the library is not interested in books and not even being at work. They're engaging in surveillance. The entity is engaging in surveillance in the city of Ontario by maintaining a library, which is nothing other than a facilitating venue. And the truth of that and the proof of that is the maintenance of a whole supernatural environment where the entity is maintaining ongoing massive means of vagina monitoring. Okay, this is ongoing stalking, and the entity will be federally prosecuted for sexual violence in unprecedented manners in the ways in which the P.O.C has shown. And not only is the fake sun here, you are aware the entity keeps the fake sun inside of the depths of the library after 4 p.m. This is what I captured yesterday, February 20th, where again, demons are monitoring, focusing their outward attention to paper, books, their job, whatever it is appears to be appropriate with regard to what they're focusing on. And this is speaking to the real purpose and the actual intentions of everyone in that environment and the knowledge that everyone shares. All right, this is the entity. It's currently 2 o'clock right now, so over 2.5 hours later, the fake sun is still here, and it's over the entrance over my head at 10:35 in the morning. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct where a bunch of sex offenders are engaging in what is surveillance that includes the bathroom. Okay, this is the entity that's exceedingly violent. They're psychotic. The engineer light crawls into the depths of the library. This is absurd. Not only is the environment absurd, it's letting you know about their mindset. This is mental illness that's a threat to the public. This is a level of desperation and corruption that is dangerous. All right, and this is the entity that's engaging in what is supposed to be surreptitious, it's supposed to be concealed, it's supposed to be subtle, it's occurring in plain sight, and it's mental illness that is undiagnosed, unchecked, in plain sight. Criminal activity. This is P.O.C. You can see the light activity. That's impossible light activity that the sun would still be present at what is 5:14 p.m. inside of the same library where you have sex offenders who are indeed manning the women's restroom. Okay, and this is with knowledge, sex offenders that know that they're being documented. And that ongoing defiance with regard to vagina monitoring, that's going to be addressed directly as what it is in federal court. This is P.O.C. It's currently 2:23 p.m. This is the engineered light that the demon that knows that he's being documented maintains waited until 6 p.m. so that he could monitor my vagina one last time before he left. On behalf of the state, this African American male This is what they do with knowledge of the documentation. They're not just sex offenders, they're sex knowledge. See you later, Dylan. It's P.O.C. He's monitoring with Securitas. So while you're engaging in that ongoing surveillance on behalf of Mike LORENZ, policing the bathroom, you're doing so with everybody else in the venue who are also in that engineer light, which is also outside. All right, I just want to document that. That's the impossible light activity. This is a stalker moving as I move. This is the one with no license plate, stalking at the James Bryant Park with no license plate at 9 a.m. And then I'm here at this same OVITT Family Community Library at 9 a.m. And Kelly Blacken is showing you that they're all gang stalking together. P.O.C. under the fake moon, where the entities engaged in indeed vagina monitoring. This is P.O.C. Yes, this is indeed 6JDJ737. This is the African American engagement vagina monitoring and waiting until 6 p.m. Waiting, that's literally the intent and the ability to know that unlawful sexually perverted intent on behalf of the state that finds retaliatory methods and monitoring your vagina. Okay, doing so with knowledge of the evidence. And so this entity waits until 6 p.m. to engage in that. So let me show you what is federal prison while they're stalking by helicopter. This is P.O.C. That's that third party agent of vagina monitoring on behalf of the entity that has they know they're being disbanded. This is hopeless, pathetic conduct, and that vagina monitor is indeed going to prison. Dylan's gang stalking as well. Don't forget about that. So is Alexis, offender that's molesting, just like they are under a fake son. License plate 94057 Charlie 1 and Uber. Uber as well. I'm going to prosecute Uber with regard to the federal RICO conspiring my murder while the people of the state use that logo as a means of criminal surveillance with stalking police departments who are disbanded for kidnapping. This is relevant to that African American male engaging in vagina monitoring outside of the women's restroom, where homosexual predators, those that consume my bodily fluids, hunt them out in trash cans and dig and try to go behind in toilets to find my fluids, anything that they can consume, while they're engaged in this satanic pattern of conduct, which is why they do things as psychotic as stalking me in helicopters in this engineered environment. This is the entity that's going to be committed. Okay, you have Jay Montez. He's not just being federally prosecuted, he's being committed. You're looking at the evidence against him while the entity is engaged in vagina monitoring on behalf of that department that is not coincidentally stalking me while I'm documenting a terrorist, keeping my vagina under surveillance. This is the entity that's going to prison. This is the entity that is indeed a terrorist. This is why it's going on the internet. And then they engage in that while concealing license plates and finding, I just want to be clear, look at that smile because you're going to diagnose mental illness with that. This is the internet pattern of conduct while it is very much clear that they are engaging in what is obsessing over genitalia while they are stalking, obsessing over the genitalia of the one that they're also conspiring murder, and the entity is doing so with psychopaths like that. That's the pattern of conduct. That's the fake moon. This is the okay, this is the engineer light. That third party and that African American male engaging in surveillance in OVITT Family Community Library. Kaylin, you have Alexis, you have Yesenia, you have the entity that is gang stalking. In other words, the employees that are engaging in surveillance. This is not a library. This is a fraudulent means of surveillance in the city of Ontario that has been fully exposed with regard to the federal RICO case against the U.S. government and with regard to what are cases for terrorists who are going to prison. They're being deported. They're losing custody of children. Is this Dr. Salty again? Serial stalker. That's federal prison. DRSALTY, very heavily documented stalking me with the Ontario Police Department. That's the pattern of conduct. 280 North Lemon Apartments are stalking. During the day, the daytime iteration is the fake sun being over me while I'm at that apartment complex. And they're stalking with light now. They're doing so with the entity that is indeed by helicopter, where the entity is also stalking by commercial planes as well, where no airport terminals 2 or 4 have any flights hovering over that apartment building while the city of Ontario is stalking. Mentally ill behavior. They're pacing an engineer light, and that's what the demons are doing while you see my pictures of the fake sun shining through the doors inside of the depths of this library after 4 or 5 p.m. That's the mentally ill that are going to be disbanded as a department. That's the mentally ill that are pacing inside of a building. And this is the mentally ill that engage in group sex acts of violence as a means of retaliation while they keep the evidence that is historic and epic with regard to groundbreaking legislation and prosecution to establish precedent in the U.S. regarding terrorism. And terrorism is underway by the Nephilim. Satan is why they're absolutely psychotic. 194 Edward Sam, that's a handicap. And their handicap is relevant to their mental illness, not a physical handicap that the DMV recognizes. They're mentally ill. That's a psychopath. That's a vagina monitor, a sex offender. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:06 p.m. and this is evidence showing you the impossible light is on the stairs. The impossible light activity is in the bathroom. The impossible light activity is in the building where they're all pacing around. This is pacing.
7MXS 773, and that impunity is relevant to prison. Okay, you're understanding as I'm documenting video by video the ongoing evidence in real time. This terrorism is ceaseless. So while I'm capturing video, the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct with the police at that time, when the entity is engaging in that, that's relevant to what is immediately federal prison. Everybody that's monitoring, everybody engaging in terrorism, which is psychologically harmful, where that ongoing emergency is threatening an American citizen's life, as opposed to what is ongoing surveillance, for example, at the neighborhood 7-Eleven or the neighborhood Stater Brothers, where the entity is gang stalking you in the grocery store, where they are stalking you. They're stalking you in the same environment. 9PKZ058. Now, when I document this third-party gang stalking me Monday through Thursday, like the serial stalkers, that's federal prison. When I'm documenting you gang stalking, you have a case for terrorism, but you're talking about the entity that's going to prison, axiomatic prison, okay? Mandated when you're doing exactly what I'm capturing in this video. It's a P.O.C. That's the demon with no license plate. The vagina monitor maintaining surveillance because he wanted to make sure he was there to monitor my vagina one more time, in concert with the demon stalking by helicopter. The Ontario Police Department have made themselves irrelevant. They've made themselves disposable. They're engaging in surveillance surrounding my vagina. They're not engaged in any law enforcement. And there is a body of evidence showing there is no coincidence with regard to me always capturing them, stalking me while I'm documenting their co-defendants who are mentally ill as them, as mentally ill as them. It's the Nephilim. The Nephilim have no business in law enforcement, and that's why Mike LORENZ is being federally prosecuted. That's why Paul Leon is being removed from office. He's subject to a federal prosecution as well. That's why the people of the state are being federally prosecuted for engaging in what is the group sex act of violence, which is committed in furtherance of murder. They are no ordinary sex offender. That's P.O.C. And for you to document the people of the state that are stalking you with the government, and then the government pulls out a helicopter, the people of the state are going to prison. That's what that African-American male is getting. I'm capturing him on more than one occasion, and he is engaging what is threatening me while he is monitoring my vagina, and I document that sex act, and then the entity is engaging in terrorism. Both the demons in the helicopter and the demons engaging in surveillance with that department are subject to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:08 p.m., and I am not mincing words. This is establishing precedent, and that's exactly what is going to happen. P.O.C. All right, this is license plate 8XCD430. They're stalking, engaging in what is sexual assault and battery while the entity is still stalking by helicopter. They're doing so, again, 8XCD430. They're doing so stalking in the path. There's the entity stalking right here by helicopter. They're doing their part as a third-party agent, stalking in the path, wanting to touch. That's the mindset of a sex offender. They're all accomplishing this while the entity keeps a fake sun over me all day long until sunset. This is the entity that's still stalking by helicopter, doing so while I am on my device, ready to publish. And that's the position of a sex offender. You see where they're aiming light, wanting to touch? They are also obsessive over my vagina. This is a sex offender. It's going to be on the internet. License plate 8XCD430. Criminal activity in furtherance of murder. That's what fills the city of Ontario, and that's why the police department is being disbanded, and Mike LORENZ is being federally prosecuted for prison as a terrorist leader. And not only that, this is relevant for demons like Jay Montez. They're going to prison. All right, this is serving for what is that precedent? The ongoing pattern of conduct. You already know the template. As I run across them, as I document them, they're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. This is the same third-party conduct, sexual assault and battery, while the Ontario police are monitoring with them. License 58324 Edward 2. That's a Latino male. Everybody inside of the apartment garage, Sarah's Regis Group, downtown Ontario luxury apartments, fake sunrise and set already documented. They're sharing in surveillance at the Tesla garage charging stations. All those demons are monitoring. Remember the video where they're touching under the amphitheater with engineered light while these sex offenders, like those that are engaging in surveillance outside of the bathroom, park in this garage while they're driving out, engineered light moving across. Nobody forgot about that evidence, about the light dancing around, while the demons of the Ontario police, who are demon possessed, meaning they are mentally ill. And I have clinically been able to show what is the basis for diagnosing what is a mentally ill condition that is invisible. And it's relevant also, it's visible because of their criminal conduct. But their minds are sick. They are unfit for law enforcement. And this is not even law enforcement. This is the P.O.C. and these are me under the fake moon. The people of the state are being federally prosecuted. The people of the state include venues such as downtown Ontario luxury apartments in Wells Fargo, the 280 North Limit apartments, the City of Ontario's mayor. He's not a mayor, he's a domestic terrorist. He's being removed from office. These are things that are all being simultaneously handled while I'm documenting the pattern of conduct of terrorism in the state of California. It's currently, while sex offenders are stalking, 6:21 p.m. Criminal summoning at 6:27 p.m. So I just want to be clear, while you're looking at the entity that is so openly stalking with the African-American third party, that is exactly what it is that I have established through my evidence, the fact that the people of the state are not, because they're engaging in a pattern of conduct. And I've shown the purpose of the evidence is to show the nexus, the direct engagement, the agency amongst the population and the government that is in position engaging in the inhumane and unconstitutional system of surveillance. And it's criminal surveillance, and it's inhumane because of its demonic nature, and because of the things such as surveillance of your genitalia, surveillance of your physical person, in addition to surveillance of your devices, surveillance underway in your home, surveillance even when you're on the roads and the highways with no device on. You're subject to monitoring. I've shown you the engineer light on the freeway, the fake sun that's remaining over my vehicle, the ongoing placement of engineer light in manners that show you that this is no ordinary criminal pattern of conduct regarding surveillance. Okay, someone, in other words, placing a device to record you, someone placing to record you audibly or visibly. This entity is engaging in what is demonic, and this is proof of the fact, number one, that they're demons. That's giving a satanic feature to the pattern of conduct that's relevant. That satanic feature is relevant to diagnosing their mental illness, addressing it, making it an inherent part, an inherent aspect to a prosecution for domestic terrorism regarding gang stalking. And it's also relevant to what is terrorism in and of itself, the entity that is stalking you in the deranged manner, such as the Ontario police who are demon possessed, stalking and doing so, flying over your head repeatedly, flying in circles over you, following you around in the most spectacular, demented ways, using so much money and resources, all of that, which no police chief, no city, not even a governor is ignorant about what these police departments are doing as a pattern of conduct. The mayors are not ignorant about what costs money to use, even gas up and utilize the helicopter. You're not ignorant about that, nor are you reasonably ignorant, nor are you going to remain in office while it's happening in the city. And I've documented that. And that's establishing precedent. You are a terrorist. This is gang violence, and this is establishing what is necessary. Terrorism by any other person outside of the United States would be treated as seriously, and this is recognizing and then formulating policy to address what is a proven issue and not a conspiracy theory. You are engaging what is funding terrorism. You're providing what is a means to facilitate, while the municipality is using the city vehicles, using the city buildings, and using city money to provide what is a means of what is public corruption. When you're having that Route 66 car show, you're gang stalking at the same time. And moreover, you're doing it maliciously in furtherance of murdering someone, psychologically torturing them simultaneously as a domestic terrorist, not a mayor that's giving a speech on the microphone at that Route 66 car show. And you're targeting at the same time in a manner that you presuppose no one is ever going to know. That level of malice is an unlawful threat. It's an impermissible threat. With regard to, again, the way in which I have advocated and I speak to prosecuting this pattern of conduct with regard to laws that exist but do not go far enough because they do not address that which has never been established and proven, and that's by design, because it's the government. And it's the people of the state who are the government. The evidence shows that they are not private citizens. They are the government. They're stalking. They're stalking with that government. So the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so, and I just want to make sure that in the same manner that you see the Ontario police swoop in while that demon that's engaging in surveillance in front of a bathroom, while demons are going in and out of that bathroom, they're going to the adjacent rooms, but the adjacent restrooms, in other words, of that restroom, the women's restroom, targeting me. And that proof of targeting me is not something that's within only your mind, that you're hallucinating or being hypersensitive. It's a matter of an established and documented pattern of conduct, such as a fake sun by necessity, and NASA would be required to concur as an expert witness that the sun would not sit over the same entrance from 10:35 until 2 p.m. like I documented today. The evidence shows from a sunrise until a sunset, and that is over 12 hours, where the entity is engaging in also what is a documented pattern in and of itself with regard to what is the public nuisance, the ongoing harassment and targeting by the city police utilizing helicopters and doing so. And they do so while I happen to be engaging in things using my devices on the venue of the internet, addressing this issue, which if it's a figment of one's imagination, the entity is engaging in what is that ongoing targeting conduct, which you're witnessing, while I happen to be talking about something that they would contend is within one's imagination, but they don't reasonably contend that. That was supposed to be the entity's position when they are successfully defaming you. That's literally delusional. Okay, and it's also delusional that Mike Lorenz is going to be anything other than prosecuted in court. And you're not negotiating. There's no negotiating for civil damages for your conspiracy to murder me, which is proven through that pattern of conduct by that department, who is monitoring right now as I speak. Mike Lorenz is not going to be subject to any sort of, well, we're going to negotiate out of, no, we're not negotiating out of anything. You tried to kill me. That's a criminal act that I proved. And I had to prove it because the police themselves are the criminals. And because of that, justice is going to look like what justice requires as I dictate that, since I had to undertake pursuing justice on my own. And while they knew that, they set up, remember the nature of the crime, you're monitoring my evidence. That's why you're flying over my head while I'm documenting this gang stalking, a third party that's engaged in monitoring my vagina for that department. So that's informing what it is that you know as you commit these acts of violence with a population. You're doing that with regard to psychologically torturing me, not just defaming me on paper as though you ever committed a lawful arrest. It was kidnapping, but you're also engaging in a program of psychological torture, hoping in furtherance of ongoing torment in order that I supposedly would lose my mind, that I would actually go crazy. That's why you're stalking in helicopters as well. You're not negotiating out of that. And that's law. You're not negotiating out of that. It's impossible. That's criminal activity. The government is not going to be treated differently under the law. Mike Lorenz is going to be federally prosecuted regarding what is a pattern of conduct. I've shown you what the crime is. I've shown you how do you establish criminal stalking by any person, including an entity, and you're establishing a pattern of conduct. The pattern of conduct is established, and that pattern of conduct is underway by what is gang violence, terrorism. Terrorists are subject to prosecution by any other country. So when you are a homegrown terrorist, you are a threat to the United States. It shall not and it should not. And since when would it be treated differently because you call yourself a chief? You're not a chief of police, you're a chief of vagina monitors, and you're engaging in that, just like I stated, through this African American, this little coward who runs into his car, and the gang stalkers themselves are stalking in a helicopter. Do not forget who else is engaging and speaking on behalf of the state. The Latina female gang stalking at Stater Brothers, pacing under the fake sun that still remain in alignment to me while I'm inside of a building, by the way. 1 mile east of that same Stater Brothers. The sun didn't go anywhere. Didn't go anywhere. It was never in Florida. So what is Mike Lorenz? What is that department stalking me in? Okay. What are you doing sitting outside of the bathroom while you have multiple shadows as well? And you also are aware of what it is that's documented. So that's speaking to somebody that is determined to monitor my vagina, because a sex offender is supposing that they're engaging in retaliation by monitoring my vagina because I'm documenting the fact that you're monitoring my vagina. And then you're stalking me in helicopter because you're monitoring my vagina. Because you're hostile, as I put on the evidence, proof that you cannot contend with, that you're monitoring my vagina. Okay? The entity's engaging in that right now. Cirrus Regis Group, Downtown Ontario luxury apartments, maintaining a tow truck parked outside, just like FedEx was the other morning while the city of Ontario was stalking with light. Just like the entity is engaging with peculiarized light, a method of flashing of light. The Downtown Ontario luxury apartments is a source of light activity while the Ontario police are stalking and monitoring now. What it is that you listen to and what you'll see on video is the conspicuous means doing so. That's because they're communicating a threat while I'm documenting an agent of sexual violence who represents an entity, making sure that they maintain surveillance around the grounds of the bathroom where only sex offenders are engaging in what is anything that's going on between your legs without your knowledge and consent. That is the Ontario Police Department. That is, again, a deceptive misnomer. Those are vagina monitors. Those are stalkers, and they're demon possessed. That's the Nephilim. Those are critters and creatures. Those are not police officers. And every one of them that are engaging in what is the exercise of fictitious authority. I'm documenting you engaging in criminal summoning. I'm documenting you engaging in what is kidnapping. I'm documenting you engaging in what is any manner of a threat, which is literally stalking in the path. In other words, every time I see you and I document you, they are going to prison. It's criminal stalking. Stalkers that are a part of police departments are going to prison. That's not just going to be some slap on the wrist. They're bearing guns and weapons and badges and acting like they're cops when they're stalking you. And that is giving what is an unlawful threat to exist to an American citizen where they lose their lives. They're run over in the middle of the street when that stalker could just turn on their sirens and say, oops, I didn't see you, speed bump. All right, shooting you and claiming that you were threatening them. And then they have the people that state, the gang members themselves, the agents, bearing false witness about how it is. Oh yeah, you are indeed a nuisance to everyone. You're harassing everyone. And she's always threatening everybody. I saw it. He or she had to shoot her. They're going to prison. They're going to federal prison, and this is establishing that precedent. Gang stalking police officers go to federal prison, and every single last one that I documented. I just want to be clear, it is a volume of gang stalking police officers that are, and I mean, even when I go to the Ontario police, and I just want to be clear, that's justice. You kidnap me, I go to the Ontario Police Department, I document you, you're going to prison. And the evidence shows that they are stalking. Stalking is established how? Through the specific environment. Stalking is relevant to what? Criminal monitoring. You're monitoring under a fake sun. A fake sun that's over that Ontario Police Department in the morning and in the afternoon into the evening. And engineer light fills that Ontario Police Department. I will prosecute you for opposing an unlawful threat. Literally the headquarters for criminal conduct, for vagina monitoring, for gang stalking is the Ontario Police Department. And as I document you, that's federal prison. That's how these facts operate. That's how this investigation, and that's how any competent investigation is executed. You collect the facts, and the facts control. And they lead you to what is that inevitable conclusion. And it's not going to change because of who it is that's being investigated. These are, in other words, these are, regardless, these are murderers and stalkers. And you're looking at the barbaric conduct that they engage in, if there's no competition, there's no competition, okay? If there's no competition by virtue of the fact that you needed to gang stalk me in the first place. Somebody's very intimidated, somebody's very bothered. Somebody is already aware of who I am while you lied on my character. The fact that you have to lie on my character, there's no competition. The fact that you're stalking me, there's no competition. The fact that you partake in anal sex, gay sex, while you call yourself engaging in some sort of witchcraft or some sort of witchery, no, you're not magical, you're demons. You're psychotic. I'm showing you all of the casualties of demon possession: mental illness, sexual perversion, delusion, antisocial behavioral issues. There's nothing magical about that. They're stalkers, they're criminals, and they're delusional with regard to, hello, this is not going well and it's not going to end well, but you're talking about what is that mental illness of demons who are also accustomed to a particular result because they take out demons like them. It's not going that way, and it hasn't been for years, by the way. And this is speaking to what is no competition. They're going to prison. But I just want to be clear. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and with regard to what is targeting an American citizen, I am the one that conducted a successful investigation of the terrorists who are the Ontario Police Department. And they are to be appropriately addressed as the terrorists that they are and not addressed as police department. And that is very specific because they have no protection whatsoever with regard to immunity. I've already addressed this before. There is no immunity for gang stalking police departments. There is no protection under the law, and there is no exception. There are no due process rights with regard to direct domestic terrorists under the law. You will be federally prosecuted as the terrorist that you are, especially when you're ripping through the sky space, like I just captured on video again, stalking me by helicopter, and everybody knows that it is specific to me. Everyone knows that. Everyone is witnessing that, and the evidence shows that. Because my evidence, the P.O.C, does not rely on anybody's validation. In fact, that's how it's designed, because the targeted individual is going against a satanic monster where everyone actually is up against one person. And that is okay, because the evidence cannot be rebutted by even a gang of demons. It's demon proof. All right, I just want to be clear. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct, and as you are listening to that documentation, that third party's license plate, I'm going to read it again. That's federal prison. The domestic terrorists are going to federal prison for what they are committing, and they've been committing it by the masses. Okay, and if I was a betting woman, I'm not. I don't have to bet anything. I've already shown who it is and the authority with which I speak and the proof of everything that I stated. And this is unprecedented criminal conduct. And the government that's committing the crime is in no, I just want to be clear. Let me clarify something for you. The government that's committing the crime is in no position to dictate what justice is going to look like when you're the criminal and I had to prosecute you. You plan to take me out. You plan to silence me. I'm supposed to be a vegetable in a facility until you plan to take my life. You're not going to dictate what justice looks like. That's absurd. And I also want to state there is nobody that's representing my interests. Certainly no one that is a part of targeting me and then flipping sides when you see, based on your engagement and divination, that it's not going to end well. Oh, and then you see the light, and now, no, you're not representing, you never were representing me, and that is something that I will address because I remain intentionally and deliberately in this circumstance, dispossessed of my money and property, while those are claiming, and you're going to unsuccessfully claim, that you are representing my interests. No, you are not. No, you are not. You are not speaking for me. You're never in any position to speak for me, and that has always been the case. I was never the basket case that the entity tried to represent me as, ever. And the reason why they went to that extent is because of how fearful they are of the power that I do have with regard, especially with regard to representing the truth and explaining the truth and breaking down the truth and exposing the truth of what you are and what you're doing, and also what I think about it. So this is why you go to such far extents. Nobody is representing me whatsoever, especially when you cannot even accurately spell representation. You are in no position to represent me. No one. I don't care what position you hold in the law. I have shown what is the P.O.C. and I have had to take what is the law into my own hands. And while I remain subject to this on this side of justice, you are not representing my interests. You are not going to step in any courtroom and speak on behalf of myself. I have not consented to that, and I have in every regard shown that I remain in control of what is justice, as the government has been engaged in targeting me. It's unprecedented criminal activity that the government is not responsible for exposing, and I remain subject to it. How are you even going to claim that you're representing my interests when I'm still subject to it right now? When Craig Hazelwood and the Ontario Police and Owens, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, are kidnapping me, what part of representing my interests are you? How are you helping avoiding that ongoing kidnapping? Because you are not, and nor have you ever. The series of kidnappings are only a matter of public information because I documented it, because I spoke to it, because what the government has committed, the government is not going to volunteer. You are inherently biased. And by virtue of the P.O.C., you are incompetent, that is, incapable of handling that. And you are not doing it while I remain in this circumstance. And also, you're not doing it without my involvement. Based on the violator, it is the government themselves. You cannot be trusted. And this is not personal. I'm just letting you know what this is going to be, what it is. I want to also speak to the video that you just listened to regarding the Ontario police stalking by helicopter while I'm walking out of the OVITT Family Community Library, getting a sex offender that's engaged in surveillance on behalf of that. I could not make that up. When I say on behalf of the Ontario police, who is stalking in helicopter as I document a third party engaging in vagina monitoring, surveillance outside, it's the Ontario police. Do not forget the entity that's engaging in what is harassment while you're documenting them, speaking anything ill on your name while they're monitoring. The entity that's engaging in defamation. The entity, like I documented under the fake sun this morning at Stater Brothers. That demon that's engaging in that's a demon that's engaging in what is losing control, that misdirected rage, because you can't secretly or covertly stalk me. Not only because I'm aware of it, but it's not what I know, it's what I'm proving. And not only have I proven it, I'm embarrassing you while I prove it. I'm proving it on the internet. And you are engaging in what is criminal conduct, and you're speaking and acting as those same vagina monitors stalking in that helicopter. That represents the entity. Don't forget about that. While they're ripping through the sky space with that helicopter, don't forget about the assault with a deadly weapon, using the knife, using the vehicle, engaging what is verbalizing threats regarding harming me while you're monitoring me in the dark, 5 in the morning, engaging in deranged conduct, stalking with light, just like they are inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, engaging in what is surveillance outside of a bathroom. Don't forget about who they're speaking on, who they're committing those acts of violence on behalf of. Those same vagina monitors ripping through the sky space, flying and stalking me by helicopter because I'm documenting their agents. Don't forget about that, because these vagina monitors are only thinking in the moment. They think they're engaged in some coordinated conduct. Oh, it's coordinated, all right. It's coordinated for your demise, however, because you're just thinking about the next 5 seconds, and you're surrounded with a network regarding not only the feds watching you, knowing about what it is that you've been doing for years, and lying and kidnapping and putting even a finger on me while doing so. You're going to prison, every single last one of you. But they know what it is that you are doing as an entity. So ongoing assault and battery, theft of theft of my property, breaking into my home, engaging in sex trafficking, putting my nude vessel on the internet, putting cameras in my home. Okay, engaging in what is, again, stalking me in a bathroom, stalking outside of the bathroom. That is rooted in that same sexually violent conduct. that same sexually violent territory, vagina monitoring, bathroom monitoring, that's of that same group sex violence that the entity is engaged in. Don't forget about who is engaged in that, because it's the same department ripping through the sky space by helicopter while I'm documenting their third-party agent. They are admittedly engaging in all of that and speaking to what is reiterating all of that violence that is already on the record while you are gang stalking me with a demon that is fully surrounded by evidence that they don't know how to take a seat. Because he's already surrounded. Engineer light on the staircase. Engineer light on the floors all inside. The fake sun over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library. While you have impossible light activity all around while that sex offender is sitting outside for the vagina monitoring convenience of these little demons going inside of the venue. Surrounded by that level of evidence. Tactical methods would dictate. Not that I'm trying to teach anybody how to commit criminal activity, but these are imbeciles. Okay, tactical approach would, okay, there's a little too much context there. Okay, we can't make her look like she's imagining that. That's too much into what is her so-called pattern of conduct. Okay, for those pessimists. You can be as pessimistic as you want. The facts speak for themselves. All right. So the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they still rip through the sky space with helicopter, confirming that there is in fact a pattern of conduct, because I can't make that up. It is beautiful with regard to what it is that I'm documenting, and the entity is going to be committed for stalking with things such as impossible light activity. While I get your license plate and that light activity is coexisting, be prepared for commitment. Be prepared to be subject to what are mental examinations for your mental illness. That is proven through that deranged conduct where you enjoy and engage in an ongoing program of unabated psychological torture as you are tormenting and stalking people as a program with the U.S. government. And then you like to further that torture and harm by defaming their character, lying on their character, committing criminal activity. And this is all relevant to stalking with light, stalking under a fake sun. Be prepared for that, because that's all coming. Commitments upon stalking with light. Commitments upon stalking in helicopters. Commitments upon engaging in what is group sex violence, such as surveillance in women's restrooms in a manner that you foresee or you thought would never be recognized. And regardless of how you opine on that issue, engaging in it, period, I document it, you're committing it. Be prepared for what is not only a criminal prosecution, but what is relevant for being diagnosed. Gang stalking in and of itself is immediately bringing into question the mind state. And the question has already been posed. Yes, you are mentally ill when you're gang stalking. You are not sane. And that's going to be something that professionals are going to be in the position to diagnose and to assess. But they are already aware of what is the nature of the crime of gang stalking. It's entirely deranged. It's psychopathic. All right? And it's sexually perverted. It is currently, I just want to be clear, it's 6:50 p.m. This is the entity that's engaging in that conduct, and the entity is doing so. And what I want to address is the fact that the entity it's not just this circumstance right here. Like, you already know that. That's why you have a pattern of conduct, because you're not looking at anything in a vacuum. You're looking at what is the ongoing the ongoing pattern, meaning you're looking at one issue after another, and you are recognizing what is in fact a pattern, and you're doing so because of what is the ability to recognize the malice behind what the government is committing against people with far less ability to recognize that, to even have that mindset when they are being overwhelmed, inundated with psychopaths that are harassing them, psychopaths that are targeting them and stalking them, and engaging in the demonic means, because the entity that's gang stalking is also spiritually attacking you. So they're engaging they're attacking you spiritually in your mind as well. Okay, now I've proven that, I've addressed that through the entity that's stalking under a fake sun. They know who you are. I've proven that through the entity that is stalking with activity, meaning they know what you're doing at the moment that you're doing it. All right, and I've shown that while I'm in operation of my communication device. While I'm in operation of my communication device, I'm thinking about what I'm doing. This is how an entity is aware of what it is that you're thinking and doing. And they're also engaging in what is spiritually attacking you. Spiritually attacking you is with regard to what thoughts that are not yours, injecting ideas into your mindset. Things such as, oh, you should kill yourself, you should hurt yourself, or you should go over there and hurt that person. Tormenting you, haunting you, using witchcraft on you while they're stalking you, while they're engaging in just exactly what this African-American male is doing outside of the bathroom. That's a tactic, very heavily documented tactic. As I document the entity engaging in damning conduct It is under no circumstances helpful in court, because that's where it's going. They're not thinking about that. They're thinking about my vagina. But it's going in court, okay? This is going in a courtroom, and this is my courtroom right now. It's going to be within the walls of a tribunal, and it will be cinematic. And there is no question, no controversy. And the entities engaging in, you're on video, engaging in what is documented thousands of times. And you're doing so pursuant to what it is that I am uttering over and over again. What is the pattern of conduct? What is the P.O.C? What is it that they know while they're engaging in it? What is their purpose behind what it is that they're doing? Who is it that is sharing in that supernatural pattern of conduct? No coincidences. There are none. It's impossible. The entities engaging in that level of criminal conduct, and they're doing so while they are incriminating what is the entire U.S. government, because that's who I'm prosecuting, while they're merely thinking about my vagina. I am literally, that's what I am. This is no formidable adversary. These are vagina monitors. These are cowards. Okay? These are little brokies. These are imbeciles. They're Neanderthals. They cannot think past what it is that they're untied shoes, literally. They're over here slinging light. That's how you engage in retaliation. I'm going to have you committed with that evidence. I'm going to have you committed with that evidence. While you're at home thinking that you're shielded, and you forgot about when I documented you gang stalking me with impossible light, and you thought, oh, well, you can't prove me. No hands, I'm not touching, he, and you drove off, and I got your license plate. And 2.5 years later, you're finding out that you're being federally prosecuted, and you're going to be subject to what are mental examinations. That's going to be humiliating, and it's also going to change the trajectory of your life. If you're not a natural born citizen subject to deportation. Nobody's forgotten. It's sitting on the record, and I will be coming back, and we will be revisiting it. That's why it's documented. The entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, and it is relevant to what the entire U.S. government has documented. It's more than just the city of Ontario. The entity has already been bullied they've already been overwhelmed. While they're stalking me, you already know what the Chino Police Department are doing, like I'm documenting in May of 2022, what I'm publishing right now. You know exactly what the Fontana Police Department, they did it so often. Like what I'm documenting and publishing in March and April and May of 2022, where there's not possibly any son that will sit over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library. And it doesn't matter if 2023, 2024, 2025 pass, time of year and duration of time. At no time of year ever will the sun be over one building entrance for 3.5 hours. How is it when Florida is 3 hours ahead of us and they have a sunrise as well? How is that? It's not. That's where you're stalking me, and you're stalking me with specific knowledge about what I'm documenting. You have an appetite for stalking in helicopters. You like to do that, I see. People like that belong in cages. You need to understand that that is speaking to what is also the likeliness, the predisposition to harming people that can expose much less, that can advocate for themselves on at a much less effective means and manner. Because that's what the entity is seeking for. The entity engaged in what is targeting me and thought that I was some sort of victim, and that's good. That was a trap. That's exactly what you were supposed to think, because you're being disbanded. And it's not going to be just the Ontario Police Department for engaging in kidnapping me and then lying and stating that I was dead somewhere, while San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department are gang stalking me, keeping me kidnapped inside of that facility, knowing exactly who I am and where I'm at. How do you know that? Because of the fake sun documentation. That's how you're able to rely on and address what is tangible evidence regarding what is also supernatural, but tangible evidence nonetheless about what you necessarily know with regard to what is beyond any coincidence. That's, first of all, impossible. Number one, it's impossible that will be a coincidence, and it's anything other than what is showing what is here a very peculiar pattern of conduct. Where you have somebody that's an innocent American citizen and had to undertake an investigation on their own, showing how this pattern of conduct is directly relevant to highly corrupt conduct, lying about not only my character, but whether or not I'm breathing. You're being disbanded for that. That's the consequence. There is no sheriff department, no police department that's too big for those consequences. In fact, it's necessary to make sure that everybody in this country recognizes, and those outside of the borders of this country understand, that it's not acceptable in the U.S. Contrary to what the state of California has done, embarrassed itself and shown exactly what they are. They're the Nephilim. If you're not in California, stay away. The Nephilim are going to be made an example in California. They've made themselves disposable. You, not only did I document and prove, but you've shown yourselves to be something that is entirely unnecessary as a department, unneeded, a liability, a fungus, a pus-filled infection, a threat to American society. While you are utilizing resources on criminal activity that's even centered on one person. Moreover, that person's genitalia. It's very detailed, this criminal conduct, very detailed. The entities engaging in that level of conduct, and you're talking about what is a history of evidence while they are today for 3 minutes and calling yourself engaging in what is helping a third-party vagina monitor engage in what is harassing me because I'm documenting him, and he's going to prison for that. And this is how gang members are going to be treated in this country. Gang members are going to prison, like the terrorists that they are. Gang members are over and under the age of majority as well, as you can hear in the background. I've captured many terrorists that are under the age of majority, and they know exactly what they're doing. And so does the entity, gang stalking me and harassing and targeting with those that are teenagers with their devices, engaging in that demonic conduct. They know exactly what to do. You know why? Because it's relevant to their mental illness, their demons. And you're going to address that with their criminal conduct, their activity creation in that environment. Doing so with those under the age of majority, you will go to prison. Nobody is going to cry for that. Nobody's going to cry for you. They are a threat to the public. Put these underage, lawless menace to societies, put them away. Absolutely, put them away. Because they will harm as many people as possible if you don't. And that's not, not spreading fear. These are facts. It can't get any more real than me experiencing it, documenting it, and prosecuting it. So let me expound upon what it is that you're learning here, because it's all a teachable moment. All right, I just want to make sure that you're mindful of that. In the same way that the entity is stalking with a little third-party vagina monitor, the demon that's engaging in criminal defamation this morning, hostile because she's a documented gang stalker, stalking me at a grocery store, okay? Clearly left her mind, lost it. Left it at home. It's in the trunk of her car. She lost it though. She's a psychopath and she's stalking. She's a hostile one, as they all are, while I prove what they are and what they're doing. And they are the Nephilim, the psychopathic entity that's engaging in criminal conduct as a population. With the government that has no strategy for what to do when we're caught and we're still obsessed. So we're caught, we're still obsessed, but because we're obsessed, we're just going to keep on doing it. And even that is a federal offense. Ongoing terrorism with impunity, it will be noted when terrorists like Michael Lorenz and Jay Montez and Craig Hazelwood and Tracy Banks, Jason Fields, Eric Spencer, Tommy Allen Banks, and anybody else defaming my character. I don't care if you came from Minnesota, Edwin Lamont Grant. I haven't talked to these demons. You defame my character. You're engaging in terrorism. I'm documenting why you're going to prison right now. Do you not understand what you engaged in? I'm documenting why you're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. All right. It's currently 7 p.m. It's Saturday, February 21st, 2026. I do remain at the OVITT Family Community Library where the entity is stalking by, like I've been documenting. So you're already mindful of this is where the Ontario International Airport has been stalking. Follow me to the grocery store. Follow me through the neighborhood. Follow me. And remember, I'm sleeping at the bus stop. They're flying, stalking, want to be as close to me, just like they vagina monitors in the bathroom. Want to be right next to me. Want to be outside in the hallway, outside of the bath. Stalkers. It just so happens to be the stalker is the government. And why do you have that level, those large and extreme measures with regard to stalking someone? Because they're demons. It's the obsession of Satan. Satan who wants to be God. Now, I am not God, but I belong to God. His spirit dwells within me. Satan is envious of that. That's the one that he's obsessing over. And Satan has control over everybody around me, and everybody around me is stalking. And that's just a reality. I just want to break that down for you. I just want to break that down. That's what that's about. It is Satan who is a spirit and who is aware of what is the reality of Christ Jesus. And this is actually what's going on in the world. While they have you distracted thinking that it's about getting the bag and getting this job and I'm focused on, no, they're not. They're sitting in the library all day long Talk about, I need to print this and I need to do this and I need to type up that. And they're monitoring me the whole time. They're scheduling and bringing in their 5 kids where they're collecting welfare. But they have time to go to the library and gang stalk me out, monitor me. Every physical move that I make, they're demons. This is they're already dead. They don't have any aspirations. They don't have real families. They don't have genuine love. They don't have any business. That's why you're using a helicopter for a whole police department to stalk me. That's why you're up while I'm outside. You got somewhere to live. Why are you outside stalking me? Don't you have a man? Why are you out here engaging in what is lesbian conduct like a predator? Because I don't mean to suggest that because you are a homosexual female that you're a predator. That's not what this evidence is addressing. What I am addressing is that you're engaging in what is sexually violent conduct. You're a female. You're obsessing over my vagina. You're a sex offender. And you're engaging in what is predatory sexual violence in furtherance of murder. That's what I'm speaking to. Okay, I'm not equating predatory and sex offenders with being a lesbian or being a homosexual male. What I am speaking to is that you are a predator, you're a sex offender engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. And you're doing so while you're out here trying to live your life like you like dudes? No. Do those dudes know? I'm sure those dudes know because they're demons too. But you're all over here, all of you are monitoring my vagina. They're gay women and they're gang stalking dudes that aren't even into the women that they're with. They're holding hands with these third-party females, and they're both together. The couple, the family, the married duo, they're gang stalking me and obsessing over my vagina together. These demons engage in sex rituals, and they all fixate on my vagina together, and they call that witchcraft. They're deceived by Satan, who makes his followers sex offenders. He makes them perverts. He takes over their minds, and they call it, oh, I'm gaining spiritual. No, you've been made into a sex offender. He's made you into one that preys upon children and their genitalia. You're made into what is a predator. That's it. You're not magical. You are a psychopath. I want to make sure that that's clear. Because this is an entity that's gone way off into the abyss regarding what is delusional conduct. You are not magical. There is no competition. And there's no competition, period. But there is no competing, first of all, with Christ Jesus. You are contending with God himself. Number 2, you're not even operating in any spiritual reality. You're just a demon. You're a demon. You're not even in control of your own mind. You have impulses. You have inexplicable hostility toward me because you're demon possessed. You're triggered by literally the way that I speak. And it's not just because I'm talking about you. It's because the demon in you responds to me, the authority in Christ Jesus. That's what's wrong with you. You're not magical. That's not witchcraft. You're demon possessed. You're infected. You're diseased. And it is affecting what is your demented behavior, which is a threat to American citizens while the government, filled with demons, are engaging in criminal surveillance. So you're going to seize their access to helicopters. You're going to remove them from the ability to threaten the public, including the gang stalkers themselves. P.O.C. It's currently 7:05 p.m. All right, this third party that's engaging in surveillance of a sexually violent nature, and doing so in concert with the people of the state, doing so on behalf of Mike LORENZ and that department, who are indeed stalking, as I document that third party, engaging in terrorism centered around my genitalia, sexual violence that precedes what is murder that is committed as an entity that is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, ordinarily referred to as gang stalking. This license plate of this third party, license 6 Jerry David Jerry 737. And this is a third party conduct which is mandating federal prison. When the entity is engaging in what is stalking you on behalf of that government, doing so in furtherance of murder, violating your privacy, the government has no warrant to do so directly. And the government has no warrant or probable cause nor legitimate interest to do so vicariously through the people of the state who are the agent. This is an agency that I've established through the pattern of conduct, the evidence. Okay, the entities engage in what is maintaining ongoing light activity, and they're doing so while the people of the state are around. While the people of the state are maintaining surveillance where they live, the people of the state are maintaining surveillance everywhere that they dwell. That's the facilitating venues. The people of the state are maintaining surveillance everywhere that they travel on the roads and the highways. The entities engage in that pattern of conduct while they are now being exposed in real time, executing this ongoing system. That's also relevant to the ways in which federal law is going to legislate around the terrorists in the United States. Okay, 280 North Lemon Apartments are engaging in what is stalking. They're targeting me with impossible light, while again, these are not strangers. They're engaging in surveillance as businesses. They're engaging in surveillance as the people of the state on the roads and the highways. All they're doing is pacing all around me, pacing in the parking lot. The impossible occurrence of said light is relevant to knowledge of targeting, knowing who I am. And it also is unhelpful for what you would like to contend unreasonably and unsuccessfully in court. You have no legal argument. Be prepared. I told you what's going to happen to you. That's exactly what's going to happen to you. You don't have a legal argument at all. But the entities engaging in the pattern of conduct, and you are admittedly engaging in targeting by virtue of what I've shown in the absence of any person. That engineer light, as I've shown as a pattern of conduct, is speaking to what is knowledge about who you are and also what you're doing. And then you're going to diagnose mental illness. It gets even better because you're diagnosing mental illness, psychopathic to be precise. Because the entity is maintaining an outward demeanor as though they're not stalking, as though they don't know you, as though they couldn't be more unconcerned about you. And while the entity's pulling out helicopters while you're walking behind me, you have no idea, and you're not monitoring my vagina, and I don't know anything about you, and I'm just minding my business using the computer all day outside of the ladies' restroom. But the entities engage in that pattern of conduct, that ongoing aggression, psychopathic, psychological torture in that environment where the fake sun is sitting over that entrance. They're walking under that fake sun, in and out, 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 in and out all day long. That's the entity that's going to federal prison. And while they're in prison, they are the criminal case itself against the population, who are the Nephilim. They are subject to what are being identified as the threatening population in need of martial law, and also in need of what are medical attention. The mental illness that is shared by this demented population who practice this criminal system. Okay, this is P.O.C. So the entities engaging in, this is Ontario Town Square, El Bacone, the Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, the 280 North Lemon Apartments, Metro 102 Apartments, the Ontario Senior Center, the Ontario City Hall, the College of Laverne University of Law, the OVITT Family Community Library. This is the Mule Car Smokehouse, and this is the Ontario Convention Center area where these demons are targeting together, targeting in the ways in which I've already shown with regard to the, I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos posted online regarding what is engineered light, directed light, impossible light activity, where you're recognizing surveillance is underway, and then you're going to look at the face and listen to the audible activity of a psychopath, of a vagina monitor who's lying to your face. Demons who are psychopathic. They commit murder and they maintain that ongoing demeanor as well. And as you are aware of what it is that they're doing, it is unpersuasive. It is actually very creepy while you look at the face of evil. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that stalking with impossible light. Is very demented behavior, and this is a population that has sought to conceal not only its condition as the Nephilim, its identity as the Nephilim, but its condition regarding mental illness. They are highly unstable, and the stalking with light conduct is the evidence of it. Alrighty, this is the entity that's engaged in that. So I just want to document the entity is doing so under the fake moon, maintaining presence all around the perimeter. All the demons are surrounding me. All of them. That's what they're doing pertaining to my vagina as well. And that's what that African-American male is doing. And he's doing so on behalf of the entity that provides evidence as to whether or not is he going to federal prison. There's the helicopter activity. Yes, he is. He's going to prison. License plate, again, his license plate is 6 Jerry David Jerry 737, and that's the people of the state engaging in what is ongoing terrorism and harassment while you are engaging in the course of documentation. And as I've shown, if you're not familiar with what it is that I advocate, third-party conduct, stalking me at the OVITT Family Community Library with impossible light, stalking, one demon after another, pacing. This is what the entity does with the Ontario International Airport. All right. Oh, Wells Fargo as well. They're gang stalking, and they're engaging in transactions with Wells Fargo. They're engaging in what is being on surveillance cameras at Wells Fargo. And this is all the evidence that's going to be used simultaneously to prosecute and identify those that I'm not even capturing on my podcast, because I don't have to hover over everybody and do policing over their license plates. They are working for me. The case is already done, and I have a whole population of demons that I'm going to identify, and you are going to be able to look them up on the internet regarding identifying them, and they are also never going to get past a background check. But this is the entity that is engaging in criminal conduct, and they've already hit literally a brick wall. So they're spinning their wheels, stalking me, and the evidence is accumulated. They're literally accumulating evidence that's going to be referred to with regard to very easily identifying who was doing what, when, where, and my evidence is supplemental to that, and the feds are watching me embarrass this entity on the internet. Okay, so like I said, this is what the entity is doing though, but they are stalking with impossible light. That's the entity that's engaged in monitoring my vagina. And don't forget, this is the entity that's engaging in criminal summoning. So those same stalkers, oh, we got a call about, remember what CEASELESS and the so-called captain, that's Captain Hall, and they're engaging in what is criminal summoning, talking about they got a call about, you got a call about what, Satan? Well, you're sitting there trying to look like you're normal in a police uniform. I'm going to strip you of that position and you're going to prison. And medical professionals are going to assess that psychopathic disorder that you don't want to be shown while you don't want to be seen while you're wearing that uniform and speaking in a manner as a psychopath would. What they surmise is the normal conversation piece and the ways in which normal people behave because they're abnormal. And they are not regular human, healthy people. They're demons that are working for what is a department that's engaging in surveillance. That's what's engaging in criminal summoning. All of this is relevant while you are stalking me as I'm documenting a third-party vagina monitor. They're not thinking, like I said, they are under my foot. It's strategically placed on the neck of the enemy. They've already lost. And that's by design. Because the enemy has been lying the whole time. And so now you are learning and seeing and witnessing what the truth is and what the truth has been the entire time. This entity has handed over the entire airport. You handed over the entire police department. You handed over the entire fire department. You handed over your liberty. You're going to prison. Over my vagina? So be it. So be it. P.O.C. Ontario Police Crossing Path. These are demons that engage in that just like they are by helicopter. When you're documenting, who is that? A little coward, 159-1420-1038. License, that's the Ontario Police Department crossing path and doing so while they're listening to the fact that they are going to federal prison and being disbanded. He's doing when they're doing it under the fake moon it is targeting. That's the Ontario Police engaging in that while they're monitoring my vagina through the third party inside of the venue, stalking me by helicopter while I'm documenting that, and doing so while the people of the state are stalking me way over there. Their headlights aren't going to reach all the way over there underneath that cover structure. The demons include the Ontario Police Department. You see that light activity? Those are demons. And that's what the Ontario police are participating in while they're listening to me tell the world and tell them that they're being disbanded for vagina monitoring. P.O.C. This is the pattern of conduct. And that's the Ontario police in this little raggedy Corolla. Gang stalking. License plate 4BOJ150. This is how pathetic the Nephilim are. This is Satan. These are these gang members that can't even pay their rent. Can't afford a car wash apparently, is driving around broke and monitoring me, stalking me and doing so. And the Ontario police are very much concerned with. That's why they're going out of their way crossing path while these demons know that they're defeated. Another homosexual engaging in gay rituals, gang stalking me and hostile while that passive aggressive audible activity, hey Erica, like we're buddies. And we're not, that's a threat. There's no coincidence here. The entity is engaging in what is stalking, and that's a police officer again stalking every single last one that I documented. Every single last one on the record. They're going to federal prison. That's what that is accomplishing. You want to come by on video, on podcast and say, hey, Erica, all of the gang members of the Ontario police are going to prison. That's what vagina monitoring is getting you. That's the P.O.C. I want to make sure that you see that. I'm reading the license plate on the podcast, but I wanted to give a visual. That's why I went into video right now. And they're doing so while they are, again, monitoring everything that's going on inside of the bathrooms through the people of the state who are a bunch of puppets. Puppets engaging in vagina monitoring, engaging in disgusting, defiled, demented, and sexually predatory, perverted conduct, such as monitoring what's between your legs. That's not a police department. They're sex offenders. Crossing paths just to say hi. They sit around masturbating, thinking about me and saying my name out loud. And there is no witchcraft. You're demons and you have no authority. That's why you're being disbanded. That's why I'm humiliating you. Because you're stalking me. That's P.O.C. This is happening under the fake moon at the OVITT Family Community Library, where the entity is indeed engaged in vagina monitoring and then pulling out a helicopter while I document them stalking me. P.O.C. It is currently 7:17 p.m. Yeah, this is stalking. Oh, this is P.O.C. Where's the entities engaging in criminal summoning too? And this is sexual assault and battery while they're pacing. Yeah, this is a demon. This is a weirdo. Very weirdo. Super weirdo. Let's get that. He seems like he feels protected being a weirdo over here. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering. Can you please step outside?
Step outside?
Yeah, please.
What's going on? Why are you
I'm
aiming?
closing the business.
So why are you aiming on me?
Why are you recording at me? You've been
No.
recording me for a little while.
You were
This is
touching
not
my
the first
buttocks
time.
and my breasts with light. Why were you aiming light on me? I wasn't over there. So why were you aiming light on me?
Okay, I'm gonna have you close up.
Are you from America? Because I'm gonna have you deported.
Are you from America?
Are you from America?
Are you from America?
Are you?
Are you?
Oh, I hear you're
Are
accustomed. You're accustomed to terrorism. You're gonna be deported. You're gonna be deported. You're calling the gang members that you're monitoring with. Safeco Auto LLC will be shut down. That's federal prison. Who are you threatening while you're engaged in sexual assault and battery? You're a sex offender.
Yes,
You're a sex offender.
Park to 530 Westwood Boulevard. I have a baby, but that's kind of weird. That I'm gonna send you to federal prison.
Never said federal prison. I said deported. He already knows who I am. I look like I'm 35 to 40 years old is what he said. He's an engineer light. Look at the shadow under the car. This is P.O.C. He is monitoring. And he's talking to the Ontario police who are already monitoring with him. This is P.O.C. He's pacing. And he said my age, 35 to 40. I don't look 35 to 40. Look at his shadows. This is P.O.C. He's monitoring with the Ontario police who are already criminal summoning right here. They were already engaged in criminal summoning at the in this video that you already saw. This is where they're, and he's monitoring. That's why he's aiming light on me. While I'm on this property over here, he's engaged in sexual assault and battery, and he's paced. And this is a terrorist. This is a terrorist referring to my policy about federal prison. Okay, he's not talking about state prison. He's not talking about going to jail with the county. He says federal prison. He says 35 to 40 years old. All right, referring to knows exactly who I am, and it's pacing, and you know that because of the impulsible light activity. This is Safeco Auto LLC, which is a gang stalker. So is the employee. And this is likely an immigrant that's engaged in terrorism with the Ontario police who have been stalking all day long, engaged in criminal summoning, the demons that are psychopaths, vagina monitoring, and then summoning them while they're stalking together. P.O.C. Here goes Ontario police. Who is this?
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. I think I saw you before.
I'm getting a call from service about you.
Yeah, I listened to his call. I'm not on his property.
Yeah, no, I didn't say anything about you being on his property. It's more so a concern about what you're saying and comments you're making.
Actually, I'm not making any comments. He made a lot of comments, though. He told you my age, didn't he?
I don't know. That
You don't
wasn't
know what he
relayed to
said?
me over the radio. What was actually relayed to me is that you're calling him a terrorist.
And what else?
That's all that was relayed to me.
Okay, and so what is it that is bothersome about stating that he's a terrorist?
That's kind of a little bit odd, right?
Is it odd?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit odd.
And what odd is it? Is that striking?
I would classify that as normal behavior.
Right.
So,
Uh-huh.
Are you under the influence of anything?
No.
No? Okay.
Is this a detention? Because I'm not on his property and picking out words that he
no,
said.
totally. It's not a
I
detention.
recorded his whole
That's cool. It's not a
conversation.
detention. I'm more so just concerned about you and making sure that you're okay. So, if you're
Right.
not under the influence of anything, are you diagnosed with anything? Like
This
any
isn't a
mental-
detention, right?
No, it's not. A
Okay,
detention.
but so what I want to state is, because you're here now, so I'm going to document this.
Okay.
While he's telling you my age,
Okay.
and he's telling you about comments that I made about being a terrorist, and he also said something about federal prison too, didn't he?
That was not related to me. No.
Oh, you didn't hear all that part? You just heard the.
I didn't hear.
You just heard the part about terrorists. That's how you can pounce on that.
I didn't take the 911 call. That's not how it works, right? This guy takes the 911 call, and then they send out a call for service. So that was the one thing that was related to me. If additional comments were relayed, I didn't see them because I was already nearby.
Yeah, I documented it. Documented.
Are you having any?
T. York, we got 3 cars, 4 cars. Boy, we're out heavy.
Are you having
whatever we can pounce on, huh? Is there anything else?
Yeah, I asked you a question. Are you having any mental?
Yeah, and I asked you if this was a detention.
And I answered the question. So, are you having any mental crisis or any mental episodes? Are you diagnosed with anything?
This is coming from somebody calling you for no reason when I'm not on on his property?
I already explained that.
Yeah, you did. Well, and I'm getting to the principle of the matter. So you're asking me unwarranted.
I'm seeing if you need medical attention or if you need
But it's not a detention. And I'm wondering why you're asking me these questions if it's not a detention.
If you don't want to answer my question, you're more than free not to answer my question.
I know.
That's totally
I get it. What's your name?
Officer Johnson.
Johnson, my issue is more so the principle. So the principle of the matter, if you don't have the reasonable suspicion under the law to detain and ask questions, you're asking questions because you want me to answer them.
I can ask anybody questions all day.
You're right, and I don't have to answer. I get it. But what I'm stating is you're here based on your claiming you don't know all the details. You were just told that somebody said terrorist. And then you're here and you're asking if this is supposed to be some makeshift health.
To clarify, you were asking me if I was told additional information. I said I was not told additional.
You just threw out terrorist, though, right?
Exactly. That's what was relayed over the radio, so that's why I'm here. That's what the call for service was.
Right. And there was a whole phone call, but that's the only thing that was relayed to you that's what stood out, terrorist, right?
Over the radio, yes. If additional comments were said and they were putting the notes in the call, I didn't read those because I was already here. So. Are you having any mental crisis? Do you need medical attention?
No. I would like to get everybody's name here, if that's okay.
It's part of the call for service. So if you want to, if you're trying to file a complaint or anything.
No, I just want everybody's name right here because this is a threat. So I just want to analyze this and everything that you're stating that you got from the phone call. All he heard was terrorist, and this is why they're monitoring. And you are T. York, right? You look ready, T. York. What about you? What's your name? Elias? Okay. And you're going to pay attention. There's no airport over here while they're monitoring together. And this is a third party that is monitoring.
On the property at all? At some point in time?
Was I on the property? What do you mean?
Were you inside the yard?
When I was talking to him, we had an exchange.
Okay, do you have any ID on you? Now you are detained because I have to. Yeah, I know. Yes, ma'am.
Detained for what?
You're detained because we're going to issue a trespass letter, okay? So you're detained.
How? I'm not remaining on his property.
You were on his
property. A trespass is when you remain. So that's not a trespass.
You have an ID on you.
Yes, I do have an ID.
If you provide me
I do have an ID, but that's not a trespass. You know that, right?
I can get you and move you along your way. If you refuse to provide ID, I will arrest you and take you to jail.
So now you're you're coercing under what is not a violation of the law.
I already explained all that to you, ma'am. So I'll give you
that is not an explanation.
I'll give you another opportunity, okay? If you provide me with your ID, I can issue your trespass letter and send you on your way.
A trespass did not go on his property,
yes.
Which I'm not on. He had the gate closed when you arrived, right?
Okay, ma'am.
I'm just stating. You're stating.
Go back and forth, whatever. Okay.
But that's relevant to.
You were on the property at some point in time, right? You said you were on the property,
and there was no refusal. No, that's not true.
So that way you.
That's not true. But what's your name, though?
So I already.
No, it's not that I don't know that I'm not allowed. This is disingenuous, and you know who I am. You know who I am, and it's not a violation of 602. While you're engaging what is malicious assertion of authority, I'm getting my ID. You're a liar. I'm still gonna talk. You telling me I can't talk? I'm getting my ID. This is gang violence, and you're lying. This is disingenuous. You don't have authority under 602, and that's not a trespass either. And I asked for everybody's name, and you're lying about what it is that you were stating here for. That's why I'm getting that information about what you're talking about. At 602 is when you're refusing to get off of their property. Is that correct or incorrect?
Give me your ID.
Is that correct or incorrect?
Give me your ID.
Oh, you don't want to answer that question?
Give me your ID.
You don't want to answer that question? Because you were. Why are you telling me what point you were asking for my ID then?
We need your ID so we can run.
I explain that to you as well, man.
We're not gonna
No,
be here exactly
she's the one that's injecting herself. That's not true.
the game you play.
That's not true. What game do I play? Do I know
Give
you?
him your ID before you get arrested.
I'm getting. Stop threatening. I'm getting my ID. Do you not see me getting
Would you
my
like me
ID?
to help you?
It is absolutely fine.
That is a threat. It's an audible activity with regard to what is a threat when you don't have authority under the law.
From my mouth.
Here.
That you're going to get arrested if you don't provide it.
This.
That's your ID. You can have it too.
That it one is expired. Thank you.
It's okay. It doesn't matter if it's expired. Just hand him your ID. Whichever one you have, I did.
Alrighty. Let me get your name.
Officer Ponce.
Ponce?
Yes.
P-O-N-C-E?
You're not free to leave right now, okay?
Ponce?
Yes.
P-O-N.
P-O-N-C-E.
Thank you. Ponce?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're stating that you're exercising authority under the law to keep me here, right?
I'm
Detention?
telling you, you're detained and you're not free to leave.
Based on what is 602 by a third party at Safe Toll Auto LLC. And let's see how many we've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. 6 of the cowboys engaging in gang stalking together in the engineer light. Let's pay attention to the light activity. Let's pay attention to the conduct. Let's pay attention to the light activity. All the demons with the contradictory light activity, they're all monitoring. These are gang members stalking all day long using the helicopters of the Ontario Police Department. Their weapons, ready to bust a move, threatening to engage in kidnapping. We're going to revisit that audible activity. You have all of this sass now, but in federal court, when you are told that you, in fact, what you already know, you're gang members stalking, not engaging in law enforcement. And because you throw around the word terrorist that a third party states does not create any sort of authority under the law. Just because you don't like me, just because, who said that I did?
You did. It's on
Who said that I did?
It's on recording. Post it on YouTube so everyone can see how rude and racist you are. You called him
Place
a
it
terrorist
on what?
on your YouTube channel.
Who am I?
I don't know who you are. 'Cause
So
you
what are you
never
talking
gave
about
us
YouTube
your name.
for? What are you talking about YouTube for? Top cop? What are you talking about YouTube for? Who am I?
I love my job.
You're not too bright though.
I'm so bright.
No, you're not very bright.
I'm
Your
not?
skin is bright, but you're not very intelligent.
Wow,
You're not
racist.
very intelligent.
You're very
No, I'm
racist
not.
woman.
Quit throwing
Yeah,
around
you
words
are.
and quit trying to change the subject. You would love to call me racist. You would love to make that the issue. But the issue is you're talking about social media. You've seen me on social media before? You've seen me on social media before? This is an admission regarding third parties, and this is the light activity. You already know that they know who I am, and this is stalking. While you're taking my ID, writing out, which you would love to, this will never create what is authority under the law regarding what you've already committed, repeated kidnappings upon stalking.
Erica, what does the P.O.C. stand for?
What? Oh, I'm glad you know that. So why are you here? You're the one that was engaging in what is stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library.
All right, Erica, you still live
You
on-
all are poor actors, acting like you don't know who I am in the first place. Anxious about jumping on an opportunity that you don't have while you're stalking.
Erica,
Yes.
would you like to get on with your day? Okay.
What are you talking about? You took my, you already violated my rights. So say what you need to say.
Are you gonna?
I'm not
sign
signing
right
for what?
here? No.
There was no trespass.
Okay, cool.
There was no
I'll just write
trespass.
refused.
There was no trespass, and you all are the admitted stalkers that you are. You feel like you're
Okay.
doing something right now. You're
Here's your
5'2" with
your
no
ID.
authority under the law either.
I'm actually 5'1", so.
You look like you're
There you go.
stumpy. You
Okay.
feel like you
Take
did
care.
something?
Have a good night.
You know that means nothing. You feel like you did something while you're stalking an engineer light. I'm on sidewalk. You're lying again. I'm on the sidewalk. You didn't even have authority under the law in the first place. You're pathetic.
good.
You are pathetic. You know that, right?
Erica,
You're
have a good day.
pathetic. No, Ponce,
If you come
I
back
can
here,
stand on the
you're gonna be under
sidewalk.
arrest. You're
I
gonna be
can
under
stand on the
arrest.
sidewalk all I want.
Bye.
No, I can stand on the sidewalk all I want. Did you know that? Did you know that?
Bye.
Did you know that?
Have a good night.
Or what? On the sidewalk now what? You gonna write me a citation for that too?
Good night or what? It's crazy.
I know you can't. You couldn't have written that. That meant absolutely nothing, and you knew that. So you're sitting here making out what? Misdirected anger because you're mad because I'm embarrassing you on the internet?
I'm not embarrassed.
Yeah, you are. You are embarrassed. That's why you're referring to my social media, throwing out, you wish that I was racist.
Told us that you had a YouTube.
I never said anything about that. You're a liar. You're a liar. You are a liar.
Oh, okay.
Like you are here with this uniform on, acting like you're engaged in law enforcement and you're stalking. That's the reality. You're embarrassing. No, now you're throwing out words that you don't know the definition of. You're throwing out words that you don't know the definition of. While you're talking about race, do you know what racism is? Do you know what being racist is?
You told the man that you were going to get him deported. So
That's not
all
what.
I'm
No. You got that call because he didn't. He didn't get that call. So you have details that the other officer doesn't. This is not the first time that I'm catching all the stalkers contradicting each other while they're all in engineer light, referring to my social media while you're using a piece of paper in section 602 that doesn't apply. Section 602 that you don't even have authority under while you're stalking. Stalking. You're stalking.
What does Section 602 stand for?
What do you mean? What does it stand for? Wait. Who is documenting who? Are you going to put that on your YouTube channel? You got one too? You got one too? So why are you referring to this YouTube? Why wouldn't it be TikTok or Snapchat? When did I tell you that?
The last time we talked to you.
When did I talk to you?
Yelled at me last time.
When did I talk to you?
I don't know. I don't keep a diary.
You don't keep a diary, but you keep a catalog about what it is that I tell you every time I encounter you? What's your name? You can laugh all you want, but we know that stalking me is very important to you. You use helicopters. You use all manner of the department to engage in following me around. You can laugh about it all you want, but you've made a series of concessions and admissions, especially while you're in this environment. You wish that you had something legit. I'll give my wallet. Don't worry about it. I'll give my wallet. You're engaging what are you the one that I've been embarrassing, Hall? The so-called sergeant? The so-called sergeant, is that you? You guys are all the gang members? Oh no, I'm not upset. You're the one that's upset. That's why you've got all of this here. This is why you've got all of this here. You're the one that's bothered. And you should be. You should be. You should be. You're a poor actress. You are a poor actress. This is about you trying to, a show of force is what this is. But this is prison. This isn't even force. This isn't even authority. This is pathetic. You're a bunch of vagina monitors. You got that part on my social media too? That's what you are. You're sex offenders. You engage in surveillance in bathrooms, Ponce. Yeah, you do. Now that's a label that you should be familiar with. Sex offender. That's what you are. Sex offender. You are a sex offender. You're a stalker and you're a liar. Anything else? Because harassing will never create you as a legitimate department. That's the P.O.C. Listen. Get some boots. Get some high heels. You're stumpy. You're stumpy. You wrote down a piece of paper that makes you feel like you did something. This is P.O.C. 1591428. 1671272. They are so thirsty for an encounter with me while they're stalking. You are so desperate for an encounter. 1591670. You're still not a police officer. And you're still fired. You're still not a police officer. License 1644200. Sex offender. They're sex offenders. That's P.O.C. They're angry. This is aggression by demons. These are demons who are pacing. You see all of that? Over a third party that's monitoring. They're mad because they lost. Listening to my social media. Very much engaged in what is concerned with me, while a third party, one partner has information about the call, another one doesn't. They know exactly who I am in the engineered environment. This is one shadow here. This is another shadow here. This is another shadow here. That was monitoring. That was monitoring. While a sex offender is engaging in what is stalking with light. While I'm on the property adjacent to them. And he's engaged in what is criminal monitoring in concert with them. That's the pattern of conduct. This is Safeco Auto LLC. This is Safeco. And the entity's engaged in what is a threat to engage in kidnapping. That was pursuant to what is a threat to commit kidnapping while they're engaging in that pattern of conduct. They're doing so with Safeco. This third party is monitoring with them. Monitoring. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 10:07 p.m. What's up? License plate, sexual assault and battery. 8B KX771. I want you to see the Ontario International Airport while R. Lily, Sergeant Hall, T. York, Elias Ponce, while they're engaging in stalking me, the entity was stalking by the airport on the opposite side of the street. All right, remember, you can see it in the video. And this demon here is engaging in surveillance. This is a serial stalker. They're going to prison. They're engaging in, I'm documenting over an hour ago, 10:41, it's after 11:52, it's 11:56 p.m. right now. They're engaging in surveillance. This is the light, and that's a psychopathic pacing by the airport. They're sharing in that pattern of conduct together. This is what Safeco is doing, and I want you to see where the airport is landing right here, okay? And this is, again, license plate 7HXN535. This is what they're doing while the entity has the fake sun so low that it's touching me underneath the covered structure at 7 in the morning. This is stalking with light. That's the purpose of it. This is mentally ill behavior. This is what the Ontario Police Department are doing. And this is what the entities engaging in. Safeco Auto LLC at 530 West Holt Boulevard. This is a third party that's engaging in the sex offense, doing so on behalf of the gang members of the Ontario Police, who then engage in criminal summoning, which is stalking by the entity together. Okay, they're at Stater Brothers at 646 West Holt, which is closed. So the purpose is just the entity is engaging what is disguising, hiding behind shopping carts during the day. They are here engaging in surveillance, which is I am always the focus, including while it's open and they're stalking in the grocery store. They are stalking now on behalf of the government. This is the same sex offender you see molesting with impossible light at the entrance. He's engaged in the pattern of conduct now. He's engaged in federal stalking and the entity is engaged in criminal summoning, as I documented, while the employee at Safeco, which is on the opposite side, it's right here. It's the same property. That's why I'm referring to criminal summoning, as you saw the gang members respond to a third party that they're stalking with. And then that third party, as they're documented, summons them. And that's, again, the illusion. They're listening to everything, including what I'm saying now. They're monitoring my vagina while they're engaged in that pattern of conduct. And this is where the airport is stalking now on this side of the street, based on what is monitoring. They're on the opposite side of the street while I'm on the opposite side of the same Bonita. You'll see that in the video. The airport is stalking, and so are the Ontario Police Department, with that airport engaging in surveillance, and that's aerial surveillance with the people of the state. That Safeco employee, he's going to prison. And you're referring to what are relevant facts. If you are in fact an immigrant, that includes Sergeant Hall. Okay, she's engaged in the pattern of conduct. She's an immigrant. She's going to be deported. She's not going to be treated differently than anybody else. 7 NBS 390, psychopathic pacing. Okay, and this is again the serial stalker. I documented them the other night. The entity stalking by I captured it on video as I'm documenting this demon, and then the entity is taken out by plane right here. The entities engage in that pattern of conduct together. They like to stalk with light, and then the entity one after another, after another, after another. That's exactly what I captured this morning under the fake sun. A plane after another, after another, after another, while the people of the state are engaging in that psychopathic behavior that they share in. They are demons, okay? This is relevant to all the gang members, okay? T. York, R. Lilly, Elias, Ponce, Johnson, they all engaged in what is criminal defamation, okay? By implication, talking about terrorists, they are terrorists. And that's the entities engaging in. They cannot, those vagina monitors could not defame me whatsoever. They are admitted stalkers. They've engaged in what is lying about my being dead while they are engaging in what is kidnapping, and they are engaged in conspicuous surveillance with the people of the state. The entity is being disbanded because of the criminal conduct that they are responsible for, that the people of the state share in. There are psychopaths that are engaging in stalking me at an absurd level with regard to the helicopter activity, and they're engaging in that conduct with regard to wanting to merely be in my presence. They may as well just ask me for an autograph, because that's what that is. But that's a threat. They have guns on their waists. They're stalkers in the engineer light with the people of the state who worship me, stalk me in bathrooms, okay? And the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct with the people of the state who are engaging in this deranged behavior. The Ontario International Airport that is stalking is serving for putting terrorists like the Ontario Police Department in federal prison, and everything that they stated while they are gang stalking is what is relevant to malice, putting them in prison for the threat that they are while they're lying out of their faces, knowing exactly who I am, engaging in stalking with the people who are not necessarily calling them. This is a whole act. And it's the implosion of gang stalking while psychopaths are stalking, monitoring with light, engineer light. This is the same walkway where you saw the engineer light on the underneath the covering. They're stalking with light. This is mental illness, and to do so while you're documenting, understand this, because this is what the rest of the country is going to recognize and respect under federal law. What the demons in California are not. You're going to federal prison for this. As the federal government is investigating, I dare you to do it in front of the federal government like the entity is now, because you're going to prison for it. Okay, this is P.O.C. Stater Brothers is being prosecuted. Like I said, it's not going to be based on business hours. They're using the property. You're going to prison. Ontario Village Shopping Center engaged in 24-hour surveillance. The government is using it. The people of the state are the government, utilizing it for the criminal purpose of murdering someone, conspiring their murder by gang stalking them. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 12 a.m. That's amplified train activity while they are monitoring. And just to be clear, here's my shadow here so you can see that, and here's another shadow here so you can see that, and here's my shadow here. This is the entity that's engaging in surveillance. And their vagina monitors at Not So Family Market Stater Brothers, engaging in that while they are engaging in surveillance with the government in furtherance of murder. Relevant behind getting out of your vehicle, stalking in the path, and they're still monitoring while they're inside of the store. That's the pattern of conduct. That's why that store has impossible light activity, and it's covered in evidence regarding Stater Brothers monitoring. Okay, this is the P.O.C. And be in the parking lot engaging in that is the property. That's a federal RICO case, and the people of the state themselves are being federally prosecuted for criminal activity. This is all relevant because all those gang members of the Ontario Police, every single last one of them are going to prison. Every single last one. That's confirmation. They're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 12:01 a.m.